Hello, and welcome to another edition of Connecting the Dots, the interview series where we have thought leaders, innovators, and game changers of our industry share their tips, insights, and learning. It features senior executives of our telco and media industry. My name is Andy Waltenspiel, and I'm running a Munich-based consultancy where we're advising Tier 1 operators and vendors on innovation and go-to-market strategy, as well as thought leadership. Today, my guest is the head of TV Orange Spain, Nacho, Ignacio García-Legaz. Super excited that he's finally making it to my show. He's a passionate skier, and he's also one of the first people on the planet to launch Tik Tok on the big screen. Hola, Nacho. Hello. Hi.
Hello, Andy. How are you?
Great to have you here. So all this started in a chairlift in Austria, skiing earlier this year, and finally we're making it public. So thanks for joining here.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure as well, skiing with you and the rest of the guys.
Yes, we're going to repeat that again next year. So if you, dear audience, want to join, give me a ring and we'll see if we can have a space for you. But first, maybe let's start with a bit of introduction about you, Nacho. Tell us a bit, who are you, what are you doing, and also about Orange Spain.
Well, I'm Nacho García-Legaz. I run the TV end-to-end in Orange Spain. So basically from the commercial offer definition, content and agreements with channels and OTT partners and so on, to the product definition, set-top boxes, remote controls, and the technical implementation, engineering, operations, including technical operations and content operations.
So one of the cool things you recently launched is a sound-enabled box, and it features Tik Tok on the big screen. I think are you the first on the planet to do it, or at least one of the first to do it?
Well, I think I'm not aware of anyone doing that on set-top boxes. TikTok started to launch it in some connected TVs. We included as part of the launch of our Soundbox in order to provide something else, not just a pure traditional video content. It's in a very early stage, trying to address or we'll try to tackle with younger audiences, to test other kind of content, shorter one, despite also TikTok is building some longer formats, music, and also different access points to this platform. So basically we have integrated the most popular videos, the most popular playlist, or people that publish a lot of content in the same interface together with other kind of more traditional.
Okay, so we'll speak in a few months and you let us know how did it go.
Sure, absolutely.
Perfect. So you're doing clearly an aggregation strategy like many of the telco players these days, become a super aggregator. You just mentioned you have music, you have gaming, you have TikTok and others. What is the secret sauce for you? Is it aggregating this, or is it something else? How do you manage the cost of the content and all that? That's not an easy one. So tell us a bit about that, please.
Well, I believe that everybody is doing aggregation these days.
Yes.
Aggregation can be, it's a very used word or term, but has different flavors. It's key to address not only the content deals, but also doing properly the metadata aggregation, the searches with all these difficulties, and also everything that is related to the credential management. So I think on that side, on the small details, there is still a lot to do. I believe that the aggregation, which includes the traditional channels, plus the OTTs, plus also the fast channels, is a little bit similar to what we've been doing in the past. Instead of just putting together some channels in different packages, we put in channels together with apps or OTT providers. That it is true that it's different. In the past, these channels didn't have access directly to the consumer, and today the apps and the OTTs do. Yeah. But also this provides a reference price that you can use in terms of building the proposal to the customer. I think the key these days is how to be efficient on in all these relationships in times where, at least in the Spanish market, the competition is super tough. So on this environment, I think size, as the joke says, size matters, but it's key to make all this cost structure efficient. I believe that with the size, at least that we had 2 years ago in Spain, with 700,000, so now we have close to 1.3 million. With these sizes, it's still too small to make everything fly. Growing significantly, I think it's key. And in this strategy, what we've been trying to do is trying to maintain the maximum amount of providers in flat modes. So our unitary cost as we grow keeps it small. So it's a model that if you grow significantly, then your unitary costs start to decline very quickly, and then you can grow to the market with, say, more cost-effective propositions, and also more value to the customer for the same price.
Is it tough? Is it tough to get to that point that you say you get a more or less flat cost from your content owners? And maybe we need to talk about.
I think with the OTTs it's impossible. The model is at the end it's pure variable. I think it's important to try to have agreements with them that even being variable, as you grow, the cost is lower. And I think this is possible because it's a motivation for all parties to grow. With the channels, I think it's easier in the sense that at least the way I see it is they are becoming kind of the core of the basic package in all these propositions, where the OTTs are becoming more the premium content. So if you want to be in the basic, you want to maximize the distribution, and you need to make sure that you at least grow a little bit. With all the pressure of these OTTs, either the channels participate in helping the telcos in growing the business, or in the long term they would be probably in a worse situation than today. So I think it's not complicated. Obviously, you need to provide some side to the same amounts that they might be making with a pure variable at the stage you start. But if you give them something on top of what they have today, I think it's a win-win. So, and we've been able to achieve that with, say, more than 90% of our content provider.
Okay, that's great. So that's on the content side. How about the infrastructure side?
This model of trying to build a cost-effective model where the cost per subscribers declines as you grow has these two angles: has the content and the infrastructure platform, generally licenses, security, and you name it, and also relate to the network. On the platform, I think it's a little bit similar to the models on the content side, but with the network, we typically have something very linear, especially with the unicast traffic. In our case, we have multicast, but also a significant number of devices connected every weekend because the football is very demanding. So growing with subscribers with football or with very demanding content at the end implies a linear growth on the network. Last year we deployed multicast IVR. We did that because we had to support the zone launch in our territory. That worked pretty well, and we included the client of multicast in our routers because that's the most effective way. And we are going to launch after summer our own apps in multicast AVR. So that basically guarantees that our own growth, as long as it's in our own network, would be not impacting the CDN traffic.
So that sounds like, at least in Spain, you have no plans to go full OTT like many other players publicly say these days.
No. To be honest, no, because with IPTV for set-top boxes, we feel comfortable. For OTT traffic, multicast AVR works well, and I don't see the rationale behind pure unicast model within our, let's say, ecosystem infrastructure and situation. So we will stay as we are.
Okay. You mentioned tough competition, crowded landscape already today in Spain, and more to come, I think. Tell us a bit about the power of brands and how do you play with that?
Talking about brands, I mean, we currently have 3 brands in the telco space. Each of them is addressing a different segment: premium, mid, and low. There are more than 100 telcos in Spain, telco brands, and
100.
maybe more than 100. And maybe let's say in the first level that we monitor in a weekly basis, probably more than 20, 25. In our case, the fact of having Justel that is in the mid end with TV as well, allow us to address customers that were not willing to pay as much for Orange brand, where you have all the premium TV with all these OTTs and the football. But with Justel, customers wanted to have a basic TV and pay far less. Basically, we are tackling both segments in a very efficient way without cannibalizing the customers from the top brand.
I think your Justel story is quite impressive. You mentioned when we prepared this, quite some growth in very short time.
Yeah, I think this was a very good exercise. We define a product that is purely OTT, has not all the channels, but the most relevant channels, plus relevant amount of on-demand content from AMC Plus. And this product costs €5, including VAT. So it's very cheap, but has proven to be very successful. And it's helping us in all the angles, obviously from the ARPU perspective, because as I mentioned before, this is benefiting of all these agreements we have on the Orange brand. So the margin is good. But also because the customers that are getting TV together with broadband or mobile are obviously more loyal and they're happy. So at the end, it's a very, very good product, quite successful, and indeed far higher than we expected ever.
Yeah. Overall, we talked about SVOD players, content owners, and of course, the telco operators. Where do you see the power balance? Now, all these SVOD players suddenly need to make money. We know when their stock prices tanked a few years ago. Now it's about making money, not just pure growth anymore. Does that shift the power balance? Is it good? Is it bad for you as a telco?
Well, I think there's some positive things about this and some negatives. And I will say with the negatives ones are that the pressure they have on their financials have forced them to increase prices. Let's say in a yearly basis, or some of them even more. And if you have these OTTs bundled already in your packages, unless you have mechanisms to protect those price increases applying to your subscriber base, then you have a margin problem that forces you to increase prices as well. So I think that's negative. That's something we need to tackle generally in the industry. I think the positive track is that this industry is getting serious. I mean, it's not just the growing subscribers. By growing subscribers, those guys need to deliver the figures as we've been doing forever. So it's about being profitable, and in that sense, I think we share more or less the dynamics, and I think we understand each other a little bit better than in the past. it's also coming at the same time that there is more competition on the OTT side. So some years ago, there was just a big player. Now we have 2, 3 super big ones and another 2 to 3 that can be challenging. So in this ecosystem, I think more competition, I think it's better. In our case, allows us to balance the relationships a little bit better. It is true that the telco business is not the core of their business, but it is true as well that we provide, let's say, a much more stable relationship, more predictable. We guarantee a business for them that is not a small, and I think this is a good, let's say, playground to discuss and try to find common areas to grow.
Good. So more positives than negatives.
Yes, I believe so.
Talking about positives, you know, my favorite question, if I were to give you, I need to be careful how I say it. If I were to give you $100 million, what would you do with it for Orange?
Yeah, that's a pity, because if it were for me, I would get them and I will work in another industry. But no, that's seriously, I think this business is mostly about content. The experience is quite relevant as well. So I would most likely try to get other deals with content related in Spain. And in parallel, try to replace some of our legacy set-top boxes with the top soundbox that we have, that is working pretty well and provides a unique experience to the customer. So trying to maybe 70% for the content, 30% for the in terms of capex of the customer capex, and continue with the plans that we have related to make the onboarding of the OTTs better. Maybe that would be a good balance. But I prefer the idea of getting the 100 million for myself.
You have 30, you left 10% for, for something. When you say onboarding experience, what exactly do you mean with that? What is that onboarding experience for the SVODs?
The challenge we have is today, when you sign with Orange for a high-end package, you get all these linear channels, but you also get the football and Netflix, Disney, and Amazon, and DAZN. So for each of these OTTs, you need to create your own credentials, create your account, and then make sure that this account is either the credentials are introduced on the set-top box or validated in some way. Introducing your email and your password for each of these, let's say 4 OTTs, and maybe you can have more on your set-top box is a nightmare.
Yes.
And when you change the credentials or the password, you need to do that again. So all related to all these OTTs passwords is not very well solved. And we are working on finding ways where you give, let's say, you trust your mobile from set-top box, or you trust your set-top box from your mobile for our own app, and try to see mechanisms to remember your credentials, or put a place where you have all of them, something like that.
And in the end, that means better user experience, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what it comes down to.
We need to make sure at the end, I mean, I think the commercial proposition is well, the packages, that those things are working very well. And I think we need to make sure that the customer never thinks about problem. And if the customer doesn't have problems operationally and don't have problems with the user experience, they will stay with us.
Yeah. Good. Nacho, lots of things we talked about, managing cost, doing the right deals with your infrastructure and your content owners. We talked a bit about TikTok, your fantastic soundbox, and what else might come. A bit of streaming wars platform. So SVODs is getting better with them. and of course the power of brands that you perfectly know how to play, proven by the success of Gestel just in the last 14 months. Great stuff. More to come. I'm excited to talk soon about TikTok and a few other things. I guess I'll see you at some of the next trade shows, or in Madrid, or on the skiing slope latest in January.
Sure. I will try to do this year again.
Yes. Nacho, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for sharing, and lovely to have you in our series. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Take care.
Take care. Bye, Nacho.